Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Noelle and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel. And today I have yet another book subscription to share with you. Now, if you have been following along for the past couple of months, you know that I am trying to get caught up on my backlog of book subscription boxes, but I am on track to be all caught up by the end of the year. You will still see some 2022 book boxes that I received in the final months of the year in 2023, but then I should be back on track, so you won't be seeing quite as many, but I do love to bring book subscriptions to you, and I do think this is a good time of year to check them all out because they do make such fantastic gifts for a lot of us who are trying to get back on that reading train as one of our New Year's resolutions, for example. So this is the November, so I do have the right month. It's the adult selection from Once Upon a Book Club. This was not sent to me for review because it's from back in 2021 when I was still a subscriber, and then when my book boxes started to get kind of piled pretty high, I decided to put this membership on pause, and then hopefully I'll be able to start back up with it in the new year, but I do get a couple of limited editions here and there. This book box subscription is $49.99 per month. Of course, if you do a longer subscription, you do get a little price break. They have both an adult selection and a young adult selection each month, and they put out a little hint. Usually it's a pretty lengthy one. You can usually kind of figure out what the book is, and then you can decide if you want to skip, so there is some flexibility. I know some people get both subscriptions, the young adult and adult, and some people go ahead and swap back and forth between the two. I generally don't read a lot of young adult fiction, so I usually stick with the adult box. Now, if you are interested in checking it out, you can use the code Noelle10 and the link that I'll leave for you in the description box below. That will save you 10% on the subscription, or of course any of the other products. I'm not sure if this November 2021 box is still in their one-time boxes, but it's definitely worth checking out. But I did really enjoy the book that was selected for this month. It was called We Are Not Like Them, and it was a novel that was actually written by two women, which I thought was really neat because then the novel itself is in the voice of two different women, and they had very different styles, and it really worked. I wasn't really sure if it was going to work, but because it was really a novel about friendship, it made it really distinct and unique, and I did enjoy it. And of course, I also enjoyed the fact that Once Upon a Book Club was able to interview the authors, and we got an author's note from them, which I thought was a really nice touch. So in every book box, you get, of course, the book. It's not always a hardcover, but in this case, it was, and it'll have the little Once Upon a Book Club sticker on there. You'll get a bookmark, you'll get a quote card that they're known for, a little 5x7 print, and then you'll get their book club kit, which will be sort of, the boxes are kind of marked less by the month that they go out in and more by the little hint. So this one was through thick and thin because it's speaking to the friendship that's really told through this story. And then inside you'll get, for example, a nice conversation with the author or authors in this case. You'll get discussion questions, and of course you'll get the read-along dates, which I'm always so behind that I never get to do the read-along dates, but those correspond with the gifts that come along in the box as well. And there's usually 3 to 5. In this particular box, there were 3 tangible gifts, and then there was one kind of paper gift, but I appreciated that that did not count towards the tangible gifts inside, and that's what really brings it to life. But these days, I really find that the author's notes and the conversations that they have with the authors, that's what really brings the experience to life for me, and I so appreciate that because that's not something that you're going to get if you just pick up the book yourself online or even in a bookstore. Then on the back, they usually have something that goes along with the story, either a recipe or a game, or just some sort of like trivia. And in this case, it was a recipe for miracle bread, which is a recipe that harkens back to the two characters' childhoods. So I thought that was kind of cool, and it looks like it's a pretty easy recipe, so I might have to try that out. So let me know if you've ever heard of miracle bread. So in this case, we had our lovely little bookmark, which has our quote on it, as well as our matching quote card. The quote says, "It doesn't matter if you don't know how to talk about something. All that matters is that you try." So very nice. We've got some women holding hands down here. And then on the back, we did have that author's note in very nice handwriting. So I'll go ahead and read that to you guys. It says, "Dear Once Upon a Book Club readers, we couldn't be more excited that you have our novel in your hands. As a Black woman and a white woman, as friends and creative partners, we were excited by the unique opportunity to tackle together a novel about race and friendship. Our goal was to take readers beyond and behind the headlines, rhetoric, and hot-button issues by way of relatable characters, humanity, and nuance. We wanted to give readers like you a lot to think and talk about, but we also wanted to celebrate the enduring power of friendship in our lives. We've grown to love our characters, Riley and Jen, like they're our own friends, and we hope you do too. Enjoy, We Are Not Like Them, Happy Reading, Christine and Joe. So I could see how this book, because of those hot button topics, is definitely a good one for an actual book club. By the way, you guys, we were thinking about doing a book club over in the No Bot Nook, which is our Facebook group. So if you're interested in that in the new year, make sure you're a part of the No Bot Nook. I will leave the link for you in the description box below. But because there were so many topics, I also found it really interesting because both of the characters to me were flawed. So there was a relatable quality, and there's definitely a way to sort of side, not necessarily side, but one where you might resonate a little bit more with their experience because it might be closer to your own. But because neither one of them was perfect, there was no obvious like person who was more right than the other, then I felt like it was a little bit of a more realistic novel, more realistic portrayal of these two different perspectives and experiences. So that was my takeaway from that. They were relatable, but they were relatable because they were not perfect. So I did like that a lot. Now I will say there was kind of like a spicy element to one of the characters in terms of her relationship. And while the relationship, because it is a interracial relationship, definitely brings up some of her own holdups, her own experiences, her own reasons for thinking in a certain way. I did find that racy part was kind of unnecessary for me personally, but I could see how it might add to for some other people's experience. But it was really more about the friendship and, you know, how it's tested through this tragic incident, and how they had to react to that and how that affected their friendship. So I didn't really need all the like spicy stuff personally. We did also get a nice signed book plate, which I thought was cool that they were able to coordinate it where we got both of the author's signatures, and they did put it on a really pretty book plate that of course matches the jacket. So that was kind of cool. Now the way that I do this is I will read the blurb so you can decide if you would like to go out and get this book. I do read the passages and then open up the gifts. So there are some spoilers. For example, if you happen to have this box waiting for you to dive in as well, you might want to hold off on watching this video, or you might want to go and check out and see if they have it available as a one-time box if it looks good. Sometimes people like to go ahead and watch the video to see if the gifts are good and they think it's worth going ahead and doing that. Some people just like to have a good idea of what the book is about. So you decide, but there are kind of spoilers in terms of certain passages and the gifts. But in this case, because it's not really a thriller where there's twists and turns, I don't think that there will be spoilers that would ruin your reading of the book itself. So let's go ahead and read the jacket, the blurb, so you have a better idea of what it's all about. Told from alternating perspectives, We Are Not Like Them is a riveting and compassionate novel about the lifelong bond between two women, one black and one white, whose friendship is indelibly altered by a tragic event. Jen and Riley have been best friends since kindergarten. As adults, they remain as close as sisters, though their lives have gone in different directions. Jen married young and after years of trying is finally pregnant. Riley pursued her childhood dream of being a television journalist and is poised to become one of the first black female anchors of the top news channel in their hometown of Philadelphia. But the deep connection they share is severely tested when Jen's husband, a city police officer, is involved in the shooting of an unarmed black teenager. 6 months pregnant, Jen is in free fall as her future, her husband's freedom, and her friendship with Riley are thrown into uncertainty. Covering this career-making story, Riley wrestles with the implications of this tragic incident for her black community, her ambitions, and her relationship with her lifelong friend. We Are Not Like Them explores complex questions of race and how they pervade and shape our most intimate spaces in a deeply divided world. But at its heart, it's a story of enduring friendship, a love that defies the odds even as it faces its most difficult challenges. And so that, again, is what it really is all about. And they did do a really good job of deftly tackling some difficult topics to talk about. Now, again, I'm not sure that I completely have the same experience as either of these, and I hope not to, but in all honesty, I thought it was a bold choice for Once Upon a Book Club to make, and I thought they did a pretty good job with it. So let's go ahead and find our first gift, which let me go ahead and open up the box because I did keep that in all the gifts inside. There were just the 3 this time. So we had a gift on page 116. Now, it's a beautiful box. Sometimes I do like to re-gift the individual items from these boxes. Sometimes I will re-gift the entire box so someone else can have the fun reading experience of opening gifts along the way. I personally like it when the page number is not printed on the beautiful box, so that makes it a little less awkward if I am sort of piecing it apart and giving individual gifts, but that is what they do. But again, really beautiful packaging. I just feel like sometimes maybe it would cost them less or the same amount, and they could put some of that budget into the actual gifts and their quality. We also got something from page 291. So you can see, again, it's a nice little drawstring bag, which, you know, you could use as like a travel shoe bag or something, but it's kind of weird that it has the page number on it if you are, again, re-gifting it to someone else. Some people I know like to have it as a souvenir because it will recall that experience of reading that book if it was really a book that resonated with them. And then finally we have one. Now this is great to me. It's a little jewelry case, but it's got the page numbers on the ribbon. So again, I am coming at this box about a year late, so this might be like changes that they have already made in more recent months. I don't know. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and check out page 116, which was our first gift. And then you can kind of see, this is what it looks like. You'll come across a page and it'll say, open the gift. And then you just take that off. So let's see. So again, there was a tragic incident where a teenager was killed, and Riley, who is the journalist, she's gone to the mother's home to talk to her, to interview her and see what's going on, because of course there is going to be a trial. So this is in the voice of Riley. It says, I nod and follow the two of them a few steps down the hall. Hanging on the closed door is one of those personalized little Pennsylvania license plates that reads Justin. Tamara prepares herself with a deep breath and then opens the door. She walks a few feet into the room, plops down on the bed. It's covered with a pilly plaid comforter. She grabs a pillow, holds it to her face. I keep coming in here and smelling his pillow. How long do you think it'll keep smelling like him? We won't ever wash it. Wes leans in and takes a whiff, so it's another family member. So of course that is absolutely heartbreaking, and we've all probably smelled the pillow of someone that we miss, whether they were just gone on a trip or if they're permanently gone. So here is what we got for this one. And I was actually really surprised by this because it's wrapped up so tightly. So they mentioned the pilly plaid comforter, and we got this pillowcase, but it's more of a decorative pillowcase. It's a square, and then they did actually include a little tag here. It says Justin's pillowcase, which of course does not smell like Justin because it is brand new. But this was one that surprised me, because sometimes I'll go through and like look at the size of the boxes, and you know, if it's a bag, I'll even feel around and try to guess what it is. But I thought this was nice. It's kind of an off-white, like a cream, with a very simple black plaid print, or you know, cross-hatched, I know, not cross-hatched, but you know, very simple print, very usable. You know, it definitely needs to be ironed. It's got a little zipper closure, but I think that could be a nice little accent pillow in a lot of homes, or you know, on your bed or what have you. And it's pretty simple color. They didn't go with anything too crazy, so good interpretation, I thought, of that particular gift. So we'll put that one off to the side. Now we did get like a little extra, which would be a paper gift. And in this case, it came on page 134 because, as I mentioned in that blurb, Jen is finally pregnant. She's gone through several rounds of IVF. With Riley's help on the last one, she is finally pregnant. And so of course we got a little sonogram, which I thought was kind of a cute little way of bringing the book to life. And I'll just read that little passage. So it says, Hi, Dr. Wu. So this is in the voice of Jen again, because it alternates in voice. Hi, Dr. Wu. This is my mom, Louise. Kevin had a meeting. There's no way Dr. Wu doesn't know what's going on with Kevin, because of course it's in the news everywhere, but her face doesn't give away anything. She extends her hand to Lou, which is what Jen's mom goes by. She's kind of a gruff character, and offers her congratulations. Your first grandchild? Yes, thank God, a boy. Dr. Wu looks over at me quizzically. She knows it was supposed to be a surprise. My mom looked at the file. She accidentally ruined it. Ruined it? I mean, you're still having a baby. Lou sounds like a defensive teenager. And this way you can plan. Surprises are overrated. You were a surprise, and I cried for 3 days straight. I was like, oh, wow, that's really hurtful. But I guess she's probably heard that many times before. Jen probably has. All right, so that was kind of a cute little addition. And then our next one was for this big little bag, little oxymoron there, our bag of something, and I could not tell what that was by squeezing it. Sometimes you don't want to crumple anything too much, but it's like, it was kind of soft and kind of hard. So this one is actually, I'll go ahead and read the letter. and then the paragraph that comes after it, which is what the gift is all about. So, of course, the husband that was involved in the shooting has decided to write a letter to Tamara, the mother, knowing that she may or may not be receptive to that letter. Of course, it is very much cathartic for him to write that, and she expresses that much later on. So, but I thought that this was interesting, and I thought it was nice knowing that this was written by two authors, and you know, they had to get into the mind of a white male police officer who would be writing this, and try to figure out how authentic they could make that sound. But it was a letter I thought was worth reading. It says, I don't know if you'll read this letter, and maybe it's selfish or wrong for me to reach out to you, but I had to try. There's nothing I can do to take away your pain, but I want you to know how badly I feel for your loss, how I think about your son every single day, how I will regret what I did for the rest of my life. I have a son now too. His name is Chase, and he's 6 weeks old today. Becoming a father has changed me, made me a better man. I think about this little person all the time. I'll do anything I can to keep him safe, to protect him. I'd die for him, and I don't know what I would do if anyone ever took him away from me. I can't make excuses for what happened in those 5 seconds, but I want to own up for what I did. You deserve that. You deserve your son back. I wish I could give that to you, but I can't. One day, I will have to tell my own boy what I did. I'll have to tell him so that he understands the power we all have to harm other people even when we don't mean to. I'll tell him because I want him to be better than me, to do better than me. I became a cop so I could help people, not hurt them, and I fell short. And even though I'll never work as a police officer again, I hope I can still find a way to help people, to do some good. I don't know if you want to hear this. My wife says as a mother, this is what she would want to know. I held Justin's hand while we waited for the ambulance. He told me his name, and I told him to hang on. He asked for you, and I said you were on your way. I don't want you to think that I believe there's anything I can say or do to make this right. There's not. I know that. I don't expect you to forgive me. I only want you to know that I will carry your son's memory and do the best I can with my own life to honor his. Kevin Murphy. The letter lies there on the kitchen table, tucked beneath a vase of fresh deli daisies. The words slant across the page in Kevin's best penmanship, the cursive the nuns taught him at St. Francis. He had debated typing it. No, that's too formal. Typing it wouldn't be right, he said to himself more than me. So we read the letter, and then I was like, hopefully this isn't a paper gift where we're just getting like the letter that was printed in the book again. But it is not. So let me pull this out. We did get the letter printed, so here it is like in an envelope, and I opened it up. So this is like an example of, like, you know, in the past they did this a lot more. This penmanship does not look like a guy's cursive to me personally, so it could be, but it looks very feminine to me. At the same time, it could be, but it's, you know, his best penmanship. I do appreciate that they took the time to have someone write it out. I guess after the first D, it does look like it could be written by anyone. I'm not going to be sexist when it comes to handwriting analysis, which we all know isn't good for anything anyway. But here is that. So we did get that, but we also got, that's the true crime podcast listener coming out in me, we got this really pretty cobalt blue glass vase, or you could use it for really anything. You could put a little sprayer on top if you wanted to. And then we got these faux daisies, which I thought was kind of a cute little thing, because it was sitting there by the daisies, of course. It doesn't quite go all the way down in there. Of course, they're rubber banded together, but I thought that was cute. It's a pretty little blue bottle. Very, very simple, but I kind of wish we had gotten like, you know, like something that looks more like a vase than a bottle, but I guess it kind of works with the idea. I don't know what I'll do with like these faux daisies. This isn't like one of my favorite gifts that I've ever gotten from Once Upon a Book Club, but hey, there we go. All right, you guys, we have one more gift to open, and that is on page 307. So towards the end. So the two gals both had, Riley's grandmother was really dear to them, and of course she passes away, and then finally Riley gives Jenny a gift from the grandmother that was left to her. So Jenny's lips move as she reads Gigi's last words to her, words I have already read dozens of times. She slides the string of iridescent beads over her still swollen fingers and onto her wrist. I never want to take it off. I have a necklace too. It's a set. My hand floats to the milky strand peeking from beneath my pearl cowl neck sweater. Now I don't have to get those half-heart friendship necklaces. This is much classier. Tears are streaming down Jen's cheeks. So of course you have a good idea of what is going to be in here. We of course have gotten a letter from Gigi, the grandmother, and this little pearl bracelet. And I did appreciate that we have this pearl bracelet with one of these nice toggle closures, or the slider closures, which makes them so much easier to put on and adjust. So this was actually a pretty nice piece of jewelry from Once Upon a Book Club. Sometimes it can feel a little bit cheap, a little bit janky, but I actually thought that this one was really nice. And then what was really cool is we also got a letter that did not appear in the book, a little letter from Gigi, which I won't read to you now just to keep it a surprise for those of you who are getting the box, but it was actually written by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza, who are the authors of the book, so they know the voice of Gigi. So I loved that additional little bit of content and how this really did add to the experience, because we got more to the novel. We got like an extra page of the novel that other readers wouldn't necessarily get. So I thought that was a really cool way to finish off this box, and I did really like that gift. The only gift that I was a little bit iffy on was the daisies, but otherwise I thought the pearl bracelet was really lovely, and the pillowcase too. You guys let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you soon in my next unboxing.